Okay guys, right, what I really wanted to do with you within this video is really work on the cutting theory, okay? Now there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube and generally in hairdressing it's a very kind of visual industry. I think you'd all agree. I think it's one of those industries where we look at a lot of images, we look at the hair magazines, we look at each other's hair, friends, family, and we compliment each other, when we see someone that looks fantastic, and hair is a visual thing and it's something that we craft with our hands and essentially it is a very practical industry. And I do feel, although that is probably the most important thing, be able to see the shapes that you're actually achieving, I think the cutting theory is probably a little bit, let's just say, slightly misunderstood in certain ways. Reason for that, I would say there's a number of reasons, but one of them would be there's so many different jargons out there in terms of terminology. So most companies use their own terminology just to give them some point of difference. Lots of people just use different words that has a much more simple word that could be used, and that could be just done because certain people just want to be different. And what I want to do is just get rid of all of that, and just say it how it is. Get rid of all of the grey areas and just talk about hair just very simply, okay? And if it's not simple, I'll just break it down and make it simple, because it shouldn't be this kind of thing where this is something, it's like a utopia and no one knows about this particular type of hair cutting that we do, or this particular style has never been used before. I'm going to break it down and just show everyone that actually none of that exists, okay? You can achieve anything in a shape. You can break it down and it really will consist of all of the points that I'm going to go through on this board. All right, now let's just go through it step by step, okay? If you don't understand it, just watch the video again. This is the great thing about it. If there's anything that you're not sure about, some of the words, okay, look them up, Google it. Go, get a dictionary, a thesaurus, which is a great tool to use to get words that have similar meaning. So let's just go through it, okay? There shouldn't be any pretentiousness to this. It should be completely transparent and completely open for every hairdresser to have the knowledge. And then with knowledge, you'll know knowledge equals power, okay? Now, when I say power, I don't particularly like the word power, but I mean that in the word sense of it gives you the confidence and the knowledge to be able to execute any haircut and have that beauty of when a client comes into the salon, okay, doesn't matter who she is, what her hair's like, you'll be like, no problem, because you'll be able to break it down and you'll be able to understand what it is that you're going to be doing, okay? This is super important. That's why I want to go through this video. I don't want to do any hair cutting on this video. I don't want to go into one specific shape. I'm going to just cover a vast majority. So let's go to the whiteboard behind me. Okay, we'll start from the top and we'll go through it step by step. So as you can see, I wanted to start from the most simplest, okay, which is the baseline, okay? Now baseline is the outline of the haircut, okay? So it could be a one length, or it could be something like my mannequin here. This is what I did on my previous video yesterday, and this is the square layer with over direction of concave layer on the top. Now this is the outline, okay, of the haircut, and then anything that's not part of the outline or part of the length is internal. So you have internal, external. That's all it is, okay? So with the baseline, okay, again it's called baseline because it's the base of the haircut, it's the length of the haircut, so that means it's the base, okay, the bottom. And then it's a line, okay? So some hairdressers use terminology to just say the line, okay? So this bob that I cut yesterday, okay, it has a line to it, all right? So you can see the line quite clearly, okay? So that's the line. So baseline is your outline. And then what I've done, I've tried to give different words that have the same meaning that's commonly used in the industry, okay? So if someone doesn't use baseline, though potentially they might use the word perimeter. Perimeter is another word for outline, okay? And it's used in different texts. So it could be a perimeter fence, for example, something that goes around a building, okay? It's just the perimeter, the outline, okay? So you may hear that, perimeter. Length, okay? Now to simplify the whole thing, I would say one length, okay? So the length. And I think that's probably the most common, okay? But the good thing is to put the common ones in there, but also some that aren't as common, because when you hear the ones that aren't as common, you'll be then go, okay, all that means is the length. Okay, so you're not getting, it's not, you don't feel inferior, okay? No one wants to feel inferior, to hear something and go, oh, I don't know what that means. I don't know the meaning of that. I must be stupid. You're not stupid, okay? It's just another word for a word that you already know the answer to, okay? So it's all about the length. That's the whole aspect of the baseline, okay? It's all about the length. And then another word, again, is just outline. It's just an outline, of anything, short, medium, long. It's outline, okay? So that's the first thing that we really just want to cover, okay? Because that's the first thing that clients will talk about. When they sit in someone's chair, generally, in my experience, they're going to say how much they want off the length, okay? That is probably the first thing, because most people are quite attached to their hair, and the length is the most important thing. You know, that things that come later, like the internal shape, the layers, and things like what they're going to have done to the hair, fringes, you know, stuff like that can be incorporated within the haircut of the length that they want. Okay, so it's really important that we start with the length. And then moving on to the second one, we've got layers, okay? And layers come after the length. Once we've cut the length, then we've only got one place to go. Okay, we've done the external, now we need to go internally. Okay, now just again with my mannequin from yesterday, once I put in the line, I then went internally. Now the internal shape, you can see with this square layer into concave layer, it works beautifully with the complementary of the head shape. So we've got the shorter, quite clear, you can see that it's been cut, and as you can see it's not one length. Okay, so that's internal shape. So it doesn't matter what shape you do internally, it's an internal shape. So the word internal is just the description for working inside. Okay, so again what I've done here, I've given some key words that represent internal as well, and also represent the overall umbrella of layering. And they are, as I've just said, internal. Okay, what does it do? Removal of weight. Okay, when you layer hair, you're removing weight. Okay, you're removing hair from the internal head shape. Okay, what does it do? Okay, well you're going to get shapes, different shapes. You're going to create softness, and it also equals 90 degrees and above. Okay, so again, I can show you here. So if you want to know what 90 degrees is, very simple. You pop your comb on the particular area where you're going to be working, and you just rest it. So I'm going to rest it on the most common place, which is the crown. That's normally where we sort of start a lot of layering. Okay, so we pop it on the crown. Look where the comb takes us. It takes us directly out at 90 degrees. But if I move the comb somewhere else on the head, it will give me a completely different angle. Okay, it will give me a completely different direction. So let's just pop it on the occipital bone, and we're down here now. The angle's coming down here as opposed to coming up here, but they're both 90 degrees. Okay, and this is where the understanding of the head shape is so vitally important. If you move to the side and you pop the comb onto the curvature of the head, which is where the recession and the temple areas are, pop it there, it comes out at a different angle. Again, this is all known commonly as perpendicular. Okay, now perpendicular is 90 degrees from the head, which basically means straight out from the particular part of the head. Okay, that last bit's really important. Straight out from that particular part of the head, not just straight out. Okay, in the same place. Okay, because that's not always 90 degrees. Okay, so it's that particular part of the head. So we've got that perpendicular there. All right, so we covered all of those different areas that again would be words. There'd be descriptive words to really go over what layering is and what it does. Now, if I just simplify layering, it's a removal of weight. Simple as that. Then we're going to come on to graduation. Okay, now I would use these three as the three pillars, okay, of hairdressing. And they are baseline, layers and graduation. Those three combined are the three pillars of hairdressing. Okay, and when I say the three pillars, between three of them will be everything that is done, could be possibly done to anyone's hair that you've ever seen. It will be 1, 2 or 3. It will be the one length cut, it will be a layered haircut, and it'll be a graduated haircut. Those are the three combos. Okay, everything else falls into 1, 2 or 3. So they're the three pillars of hairdressing. Okay, so remember that. Write it down if you need to. If you always remember that, you're going to either graduate someone's hair, you're either going to layer it, you're either going to choose to do neither of those, and therefore you're just going to one length it. That's it. That is hairdressing. Okay, that is all of the cutting that you need to know. Okay, put into those categories. Now let me tell you, those categories are huge. You know, I can do many haircuts with layers. I can do many haircuts with graduation. I can do many haircuts with just doing the outline. Okay, it's a big, big area, but they are the three pillars. Okay, so with the graduation, you have, again, it's internal. Same as layering, it's internal. What does it do that's different to layering? Well, it's actually simple. It does pretty much the opposite. Okay, it builds up weight. Okay, as opposed to remove weight. It builds up weight. Why does it build up weight? Because now we're working below 90 degrees. So layering is anything above 90. So if I pop it on the occipital bone, like that, okay, Anything below 90 is graduation. Okay, we would use the term 45 degrees to create the graduation, but it's below 90. Above 90 is here, and this is layering. Okay, so layering is above 90, graduation is below 90. Okay, again, a fantastic thing to write down and to have as a reminder before you start going into the design of your look. Okay, and choosing what technique you're going to do. So it goes that way. It's 45 degrees. It doesn't have to be completely 45 degrees, by the way. Okay, but I'm keeping this session quite simple. I'm going to do a few of these. I'm going to go simple. I'm going to do one that's quite advanced as well. Okay, and really go into the nuances of cutting. Okay, getting really deep and so deep that it's going to there'd be nowhere else to go after that. I love that. And I know there's a lot of hairdressers out there that also love to go really in depth with it. Okay, but I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to lose anyone. This session is purely to go over each and every individual pillar. Okay, I've got 6 by the way. So we will go 45 degrees generally, but again there's a few little grey areas there. And as I said, it's up to 90 degrees. As soon as you go over 90, you're not building up weight anymore, you're removing weight. Okay, so that area there, the 45 up to the 90 degrees, I think is really, really important. I'm going to go into more detail about that because I think that is a really valuable aspect of what I'd probably say a lot of times people are probably not that knowledgeable on that, if I'm honest. So that's your graduation, and then we're going to go to the 4th pillar, which is your angles. Okay, now angles, I've touched a little bit on angles. Okay, by using the perpendicular, by using the 90 degrees. 90 degrees isn't an angle. It's kind of used as a term. I would say for you guys, when you talk about angles, you need to be using things like vertical, diagonal, horizontal. Okay, again, 3 pillars of sections. So you've got the 3 pillars of haircuts, you've got the 3 pillars of sections. The 3 pillars of sectioning are, okay, from reverse, they're horizontal, okay, they're diagonal, and they're vertical. Okay, vertical, diagonal, horizontal. Doesn't matter what way you, okay, they're not in order, but they are the 3 that are used. Well, I mean, I use them on every client. Okay, not always all 3 in one client, but in a typical day in a salon, you're going to be using all 3 of them for sure. Okay, when you do layering, it's good to know what ones you do for different ones actually. So layering, I would say vertical section is much more common when you're layering hair. Diagonal and horizontal are actually more common for graduation. Okay, so again, it's just knowing where you're going to be doing your sections in terms of what haircut you're doing. Okay, so they're the angles, they're the 3 angles that I would typically be using. Then we move on to number 5, and these are shapes. Okay, shapes, again, we would tend to use round, square, concave, and triangle. Okay, these are the 4 shapes that are used within the hairdressing industry. Round layer, square layer, concave layer. Now this one on the end, triangle, isn't as commonly used in the hair industry, and it doesn't particularly have its own layer as in a triangle layer, but actually there's a lot of layers that are, in my opinion, triangle layers. Okay, again, I'm going to touch on it, but if you look at the other 3, these are the common used layering techniques in a salon, and then this one is being done, but people don't even know they're doing it. Okay, which is quite interesting. And the reason why these are the most common is because you're covering the whole contours of the head shape. Now, I've done this diagram here, and you may be looking at it and wondering what it is. This is a fantastic little diagram, a little tag of the 3 angles that we use when we're cutting, okay? And they are the round, square, and concave. I'm going to pop the triangle in a minute. So, round, okay? Round is convex, okay? So when we do a round layer, it's convex. The opposite to convex is concave. So this is a round layer, okay? This is a convex, so concave, sorry. So convex, concave, it's just opposite. And then in the middle, we have the square layer. So round layer, square layer, concave layer, okay? They are the 3 layers. Now, if I just make it maybe a little bit easier, if you're not quite sure where this lies within the angles of the head, if I just pop on, a couple of little eyes on here, and maybe a little nose or something, and maybe little mouth, that's someone's face, okay? So this is your round layer, and then this is your square layer. So if we come out from the head and we're cutting the hair at 90 degrees, that would be your round layer. If we're bringing the hair straight up to here, this would be more of your squarer layer. And then if you're taking the hair up into this one, this is what would be more your over-directed layer. Okay, so your over-directed layer would be your concave layer. Your concave layer is, again, using over-direction. Okay, so on here, I've also put over-direction. Okay, and this is what we call subsections. Okay, so subsections of what we do in hairdressing is we do a lot of over-direction. It's not a section, it's not a shape. Okay, but it's an action in order to create a shape. So over-direction is so important. I mean, over-direction it's so unique and so important. It has its own place in hairdressing. Okay, for me to not consider to over-direct at any moment in a haircut would be crazy for me, because over-direction is super important. Okay, and it needs to be done sometimes even when you don't even think it needs to be done. Okay, again, we need to go into that in more detail. That will come later in another video. Okay, this is an intermediate cutting theory session. Okay, part 1, if you like, of maybe a 3-part theory session. Okay, so I hope you understand everything that I'm going through so far. Okay, your 3 layers: round, square, concave. But the triangle layer will come in, and the reason why I use the word over direction, because the triangle layer is really about working 90 degrees with lots of over direction. Okay, to create a round layer. So you could also use the term 90 degrees to over directed. Okay, so where the triangle would come in would be, you'd be taking these areas up. Okay, and these areas up, and then what would happen is the top area here would be 90 degrees from the head, and then all of this area here, okay, at the bottom, would be over directed. Okay, so the diagram kind of shows that if you keep going up here, you're going to create this triangle shape on the head. Okay, and that is a little bit more advanced, but I just wanted to give you a taste of it. Okay, but without going into too much, too much understanding at the moment of what it is all these diagrams are going to be doing. I don't want to confuse anyone. I don't want to lose anyone at this moment. Okay, it's really important that we're all on board and we're all on the same page. Okay, so shapes: round shape, a square shape, a concave shape, a triangle shape. Okay, then the last but not least, we've got our sections. Okay, and when we cut hair using sections. Okay, they're not just random sections. We don't just pick hair up. We take sections, and we take sections that are done in a certain way in order to create distribution, over direction, and elevation. All of these things that are important. So what are the sections? Well, they're diagonal back. A diagonal back section is basically, if you're doing a one-length haircut, you take your section diagonally like that. Okay, that's a diagonal forward section. It's not a diagonal back, so we've got diagonal forward. Okay, which is next to it. So diagonal, it's a diagonal section, and it's going forward. So it's going forward onto the face. So it's a forward motion. So that's why it's diagonal forward. Diagonal back section would be if you're going to do some forward graduation around the face, and you take your first section around the hairline, and you take it diagonally, and you take it back. So diagonal back, diagonal forward. Okay, so the words, they're kind of descriptive, but the meaning is within the word. Okay, so it's a diagonal section. It's either going back or it's either coming forward. Diagonal forward, diagonal back. Okay, very simple. Then we have radial. A radial section's my favourite section. Why is it my favourite section? Well, because it just gets me started in a haircut. I've got the front and the back. That's all a radial section is. It's nothing fancy. Okay, a radial section, okay, goes from the crown to the back of the ear on both sides. So it just drops down vertically behind the ear, up over to the other side of the ear. Okay, it's just a radial. It's radiating. Okay, is where it comes from. When something radiates across the head. Okay, it radiates. So it's just when you go from one side of the head to the other, you're radiating across the head. That's where it comes from. Where does it go over? It goes over the apex. And the apex, again, if you look up the word apex, is the highest point. Okay, so Mount Everest, the top of Mount Everest, which is where everyone wants to get to eventually. When they start out at the bottom on their journey, they need to get to the top, which is the apex. Okay, now we use it in hairdressing, where obviously, again, I don't need to tell you where the apex of the head is, do I? Okay, the apex is going to be at the top. Okay, it's not the crown. Okay, because if you actually study the head, okay, it's a misconception the crown's the top of the head. The crown is slightly behind the top of the head. The top of the head is higher up. Okay, it's above the crown. So when you do your radial section, you do it from the apex of the head. Okay, so from the top of the head. All right. So radial, apex. Okay, another section that we use I would say, again, when you're layering hair, pretty much, is a profile. Profile section, one of my favourite sections. Again, when we start, we generally put the profile on the top of the head. Okay, we bring the hair up and we cut it to the desired angle, the desired length. Okay, if I pop this mannequin now to the side, that is the mannequin's profile. The profile, okay, it's a side angle. Okay, so this is the profile of someone's face, head, body, anything that's on the side is profile. So the section is the profile section because we're taking it from the side. Okay, profile section. Subsections, I use this terminology a lot, subsections. Now, a subset is a section within a section. So if you've got a large section, so say you've got a profile line, and it runs from crown to forehead, that's longer than your fingers, okay? So you're never going to get all that section into your fingers. So the top profile section, you need to cut that into two sections, 1, 2, okay? So maybe start one on the crown, and then you move forward and cut your second one. It's one section, a profile section, but it's subsectioned, so that's all it is, subdivided. That's all that where that comes from. And then typically when I'm doing layers, if I'm doing a round layer in the back, I'll take a profile line, I'll take a section, I'll bring it out, I'll cut the top bit, and then you come down and you work the second piece, okay? It's the same section, but you're subsection in that section. That's all that means, okay? And I do that a lot. The reason why I also do that a lot is because I like to work in really small, neat little sections, boom, boom, working methodically around, managing my haircuts, not allowing myself big sloppy sections, losing my guide and all these things. Taking pride in what you do, okay? So subsection is really important for me and something you definitely want to be incorporating into your daily routine. We've already touched on over direction, okay? The only thing I would like to add with over direction is why we do it. Okay. The reason why we over direct is we're trying to be consistent with the guideline, not come away from the guideline, but we want to start to get more length, okay, in a particular area of the head. Generally, I would say towards the front. Okay. So when you over direct, this is a really good example. Okay. So when I did my square layer yesterday, I worked square through the back, and then I wanted to maintain this beautiful kind of long shape through the front. So what I needed to do is over direct all of this front area into the back. Okay. To retain the weight through the side. So I didn't over direct the back, okay, and you can clearly see the back is shorter, okay, and that's because it's not over directed, but I did over direct the sides. If I didn't, well, the sides would be the short as the back, wouldn't they? Okay, it'd be a consistent length throughout, all right, which would give me something completely different and not something that I really wanted. So when you over direct, you're trying to keep to the same guide, but you're bringing the hair back, so it becomes longer, okay. What I will do in my next video on cutting theory, I'm going to delve into hair travel, okay, where the hair is travelling to, and therefore by the time it gets to its destination, it's longer, okay, and how that happens, and it's also to do with the head shape and what hair does if it's pulled to a certain area, okay. So there's a lot more to come, but this first video is a really, really good breakdown of all of the terminology, all of the sections, your baseline, your layers, your graduation, your angles, shapes, and as I've just said, your sections, okay? So watch this video again, write a ton of notes down, okay? Anything you're not sure about, okay? Obviously, watch it until you understand it. If you're not sure on some words, Google it. Okay, as I said at the beginning, get your thesaurus out, dictionary, okay? Be knowledgeable on the words, okay? If you're not sure, those tools are really useful and they will help you. When I do my second video, I'll do a little recap and we could go more into detail, okay? So I really hope to see you next time. Okay, enjoy this lesson. Take care. See you soon.